Good Saturday morning, everyone. Today on Perspectives, in the weeks and days of Russia's attack on Ukraine, concern once again raised about possible cyber attacks on America. The Cybersecurity and Infrastructure Agency warns that while there are no credible cyber threats in America right now, Russia's unprovoked attack on Ukraine, which did involve cyber attacks on its government and infrastructure, may impact others. The National Cybersecurity Center in London says that organizations providing services to Ukraine can become targets for a Russian cyber attack. Relief efforts for Ukraine are happening here on the Gulf Coast and all over the United States. Texas's largest not-for-profit healthcare system is teaming up with humanitarian relief groups to send medical supplies to the hospitals and clinics on the front lines. Now, while in Connecticut, a group of moms joined forces to send emergency care packages filled with essentials for mothers and children in Ukraine. All of these groups and businesses must keep vigilant over their cybersecurity. Now, locally, two pastors from a Baldwin County church are trying to offer help at the Ukrainian border in Moldova. Senior pastor of First Baptist Church of Robertsdale, Jeff Copeland, and family pastor Josh Lilly arrived several weeks ago. They took money with them that people in Baldwin and Mobile counties donated. It's already paid off as they are able to provide food and medical supplies for hundreds of Ukrainian refugees. Pastor Copeland says that the outpouring of support from the Gulf Coast has been tremendous and is making a real difference. Our guest this morning is William Bill Oppenheimer, a cyber protection expert. Oppenheimer is president of Enveloc. He is here now to offer advice and provide information to protect your computer, its files, data, and cyber information. So stay with us as we learn more about cyber attacks and how they can cripple, if not destroy, sections of our economy. Perspectives will be right back. Our guest today, William Bill Oppenheimer, and we're talking about cyber threats as well as cyber protection. Bill, a lot of people talking about it in the news as well since the Russian invasion of Ukraine about concerns that we should have here in the States about being hacked especially. I was very surprised in some of my research to find that Americans are actually using Russian tech in some of their software as well as services, and I was really surprised to see that, but that's how incorporated Russia has become in the Western world. And so at this time, in your opinion, with all the things you do in this area, should we be concerned about possible hacking going on right now?
Absolutely, absolutely. I believe it was the State Department, or CISA, the Cybersecurity and Infrastructure Security Agency, today banned the use of Kaspersky antivirus.
We reported that this morning.
Now, that is sort of old news. I have a friend who was in the CIA, and he alerted me to not use Kaspersky 3 or 4 years ago.
Is that one that's well used by folks in the Western world?
It's a very popular antivirus. It's a pretty good antivirus, but who knows what code is in there that might do more than just provide antivirus protection. There could be code that sends information back to a server in Russia or elsewhere that could be used to hack into someone's system.
My goodness, a lot of concerns. So give us an idea when we are using our computers or even cell phones now and our iPads, where should the concern be when we're about to click on to an unknown email, or where does it start?
Well, that's unknown emails is a good place to start. If you get an email that is from someone you've never heard of and it's got a link in it that you can click, I would not click it. You could hover over it and see where it's going to take you. If it's going to take you to att.com, that's okay, but be careful because they might slightly misspell an address and make it look like it's
AIT.com.
Exactly.
Yes. Oh my goodness.
And so you have to pay attention to what you're doing when you're using a computer these days.
Well, they talked about also that Russia used some cyber attacks on Ukraine as they prepared for that attack that happened a little over 30 days ago. So we're in, I guess, a critical time right now where we should be on high alert for our personal stuff.
The government calls it Shields Up, and it's an apt name because you want to use every type of protection that you can. Now, the government has got agencies such as CISA who work with the DOJ, the Department of Defense, they work with the FBI to avoid and protect our systems from intrusion. But we have to be aware of our own responsibilities and take steps to prevent intrusion. First of all is education, and what you just brought up, knowing not to just click on a link in an email.
Well, before you go into all of those,
yes.
let's, because we've got a little time to talk this morning, and I want you be able to lay out that plan for us in the latter part of the program. Let's talk a little more about this whole thing of why should I think that I have something that someone will want to hack into? For the average person watching this morning thinking, that's for you. We're talking about these big agencies, and we know what happened with the meat packing company as well as a pipeline company. I'm just, ordinary Joe here on the Gulf Coast. Why should I really be concerned about this? Tell us what effects happen when we're hacked and how they take advantage of just us ordinary folk.
Well, there are two types of hackers. There's the common criminal and there's the state actor. The common criminal is just after cash. The state actor, on the other hand, might say, well, let's hack all of the news reporters in the Gulf Coast and feed them bad information and make them look like they don't know what they're doing. It's a sort of an emotional warfare, or it's an attack on someone's ability to perform.
Misinformation.
Misinformation, and it causes instability in a society where you have a situation when you can't trust what you see on television.
And we've gone through that in the last 5 years, so to speak.
Oh yeah, I mean, democracy is frequently under attack, and that's one way those who are not democratically minded attack.
Do they look for, let's say, our bank account information so they can hack us? And we do know of people who work here that have been hacked where someone's charged their card for an extra airplane ticket after they were looking to go on a vacation somewhere.
Right, or a spare BMW.
Yes.
People, the common criminals will hack and get your account password and your account ID, and then they've got free reign. You can post an ACH debit to anybody's account.
Well, when you're looking, what do you recommend for someone who right now during this period should be looking for with their accounts? Because the debit card is like fair game, and then you have to pray and beg the bank to help you in that situation. And then, of course, with a credit card, they will, because the money is really coming from them, and so they will work with you better. But what should we be looking for now as we check our ongoing spending with cards? And a lot of folks are using debit or credit today.
You should look for any even small unknown debits to your account. And
a lot of things to be concerned about. So, of course, we're going to talk when we come back after our break about all the things that you recommend for us to do, part of our responsibility in staying safe during, well, really any day, not just these times. We seem to be now, we are so reliant on technology, and it's a part of our everyday life to where my 1-year-old grandson, they bought him a little Fisher Price kind of cell phone because he's constantly grabbing the parent's cell phone and he's thinking he's talking, and those are some of his words of how I'm trying to say hello. So this is with us, and so we've got to be prepared.
Indeed.
So when you look at the age where we're starting today, I think on one of the pieces of information I was researching, it was saying that one of our biggest problems is we have more pieces of technology, such as phones and iPads, than we do people, which makes all of this more difficult.
It really does. An individual might have 5 or 6 devices that he's working with, playing with. I've got 3 or 4 myself.
Okay.
And they all have a different purpose, and they all are subject to the same attacks as your primary server at your business. The more complex, the bigger the chance for error.
All right. Well, we're going to take a quick break, and when we come back, we're going to talk more, as well as you giving us a layout of what we need to be doing at this time, especially our very special guest, Bill Oppenheimer. We're talking about cyber attacks, cyber security, as well as we'll talk about some ransomware as well. We'll be right back. Back to Perspectives. We're talking this morning to Bill Oppenheimer, and we're talking about cyber security, cyber attacks, Bill, as well as what's been going on with concerns of Russia's invasion of Ukraine and what they may be about to do to the rest of the Western world as more sanctions are put on them. And so we talk about cybersecurity in that case, and that's something that definitely falls under your area of expertise when we look at what we should be doing. And why don't we look at some of those things that you recommend for the person or those who own their own business that are watching this morning, things they should have in place now, despite what's going on, that for their safety, they should have these things in place. Where do we start? You mentioned education earlier.
Education, understanding that your computer, when it's on the internet, is connected to every other computer that's on the internet, is possibly available unless you have a firewall, unless you have antivirus, unless you have anti-malware, then your system may very well be at risk. So when the little window pops up, your system is at risk. Take heed.
Take it seriously.
Take it seriously, because criminals and even state actors might hack into your machine, take your money, destroy your credit. And for businesses, it could be even more dire, because it could put critical businesses out of business.
Well, now when you talk about that, that's one of the things where we hear that term ransom brought up, because people are having to pay now to have their systems opened back up to them, where they have access as a business would to their files and their information. And we mentioned briefly about those 2 major ones that happened in 2021 with the pipeline company as well as that beef producer. So they can do some serious damage to a business.
Absolutely. In fact, a local hospital was ransomed some months ago, and it was very dangerous, because if their computers weren't operating properly, they couldn't do operations. People's lives were at risk.
Who is it that's not doing that right now? When you said that, I mean, that is frightening when you think about your hospital being held at ransom and all of that critical information. Is everyone taking it seriously, that there are certain precautions that have to be taken now?
I think businesses are. A lot of consumers, though, I run into people who, for example, don't even have a password to gain entry to their computer. That's a big mistake.
That's the first line of protection, I guess.
That's the very first thing. If you can open your computer without a password, then it can be intruded upon by just about anybody.
So you're basically saying that we bear responsibility for protecting our own and then helping the place of employment protect the company.
That's right. And companies should educate their employees, do not use portable media in our system. If you take one of these external hard drives or flash drives and plug it into your system, if it has malware on it, before you can do anything, that malware is all throughout the network. In fact, that's a trick that the state actors use, is to load a flash drive with malware and throw it in a parking lot at a targeted company or at a targeted government agency.
Oh my goodness.
And someone picks it up and says, I wonder what's on this. They plug it in. Oh, there's nothing on it, with that thought, and then there's a disaster.
My goodness. What about communication protection? What were we speaking of?
Communication protection. I cannot more strongly advise people not to use the free Wi-Fi anywhere unless you have a VPN, which is a virtual private network connection, a safe connection to a server that you trust. You can buy a VPN from any number of companies for a few dollars a month. If you have to use free Wi-Fi or public Wi-Fi, get a private VPN so that you can tunnel through that in a safe manner.
There's a lot of stuff to be concerned about and to do. You talked about password protection, and when you say that, give us the example of how many characters it should be and what should those characters be, because we've learned over the last few years in our company of certain things that should be in that password.
Right. It used to be an 8-character password was plenty. That's not the case anymore. A very fast modern computer can go through every possible password of 8 characters, numbers, and letters in just a short time.
Oh my goodness.
So most people are saying 12 characters. I prefer 18 or even 24. Now nobody can remember an 18 or 24 random password. So you need a password keeper. There are any number of good ones on the market. The password keeper will safely store your passwords on your machine, not anywhere else, on your machine, and you only need one password to get into it. Once you get into it, then all your passwords are available. You just copy and paste or however they have it situated. And then don't forget to back up your password keeper because you don't want to lose that.
Right, exactly. Oh my goodness, a lot of homework for us to do here. What about data protection?
Data protection, companies protect the data by keeping safe backups in an off-site location. They also only allow access to data by the appropriate personnel. In my company, the HR person does not have access to the technical part, and the technical people don't have access to the HR part. So everybody has a role, everybody has a certain authority, and that has to be thought out by management and applied in a way that keeps good internal control.
I tell you, you've given us some homework to do this morning. So sharing the different areas that we do. We've got about a minute left here. So the most important thing would be initially right now for someone who's watching, and if they don't have a password, they've got to get that together. And then, of course, as you're saying, not an 8-character, but you're developing now 2024, you're recommending.
At least 12.
Okay.
Better 16.
Give us an idea. Should we, you hear people say they make up a name or something a phrase or something they've heard that would be long characters?
Yeah, that would be fine. It doesn't matter as long as it's not just dictionary words.
Okay.
Because you can apply a dictionary search very quickly.
I'm telling you, this is scary, Bill. As you're sharing some of
I'm
this
sorry,
stuff.
I didn't come here to scare you.
I'm telling you, we've really got to be on top of this stuff. Well, I tell you what, and then there are companies like yours where people can come to you, especially if they have a business, and they can get the assistance and help they need. So that's something that's highly, highly recommended as well.
Yes, we provide backup services, and there are a lot of good backup companies, and it's essential for a business to have a good backup. It's essential for individuals if they don't want to lose stuff, because
very important.
If you have all your photographs and such on a computer and the disk crashes, unless you have a backup, you will not be able to recover them.
Bill Oppenheimer, we thank you for your time this morning. Some very important information you've shared, and hopefully those of you watching this morning, you'll take advantage of this information to make sure that you are protected. Thank you, Bill.
Thank you, Eric.
And here are a few things to remember to keep you cyber safe. Develop the cybersecurity policies for yourself. Implement security awareness training. Install spam filters and anti-malware software as well. Now, for more information on how to protect yourselves from cyber attacks, you can give William Bill Oppenheimer a call at 251-476-8258 there. Well, up next on Perspectives, thousands of Alabamians depend on the Veterans Administration for their health care. But veterans who live on the Gulf Coast, they have to make a trip to Mississippi for some of their medical needs to the Full Service Medical Center in Biloxi. Mobile now has a new health facility in Tillman's Corner, and according to the Gulf Coast VA officials, the Mobile Clinic is now ramping up efforts to better serve the Mobile and Southwest Alabama veteran population. This Saturday, next Saturday, we'll meet those folks from there and get more information on how to serve the veterans of Southwest Alabama. Well, thanks for joining us here on Perspectives this Saturday morning. I'm Eric Reynolds. Have a great week ahead.